We are going to make electrolytes today. Why don't we just buy them? There's all kinds and brands of these things out there. Why don't we just buy them? Well, they're very expensive. Not all of them have exactly the ratios that we want in them. So many of them, in fact, most of them, are really just masquerading as soda pop. Yeah, with some electrolytes in it, but we go for it because we are still addicted to things that taste sweet. That, unfortunately for carnivore, is counterproductive. So I make my own. And I did a video a while back about how to mix these up. And since then, I'm on my, I think, third or fourth batch of them for myself. Been taking them every day. They work. I've heard from so many of you that they work great. But it's time for me to mix them up again. On my first video, there were things evident to me that could have been explained more clearly and created some confusion. Not so much as to keep most people from successfully mixing them, but it is really very, very simple if you follow these directions. So today, since I'm running out, it's time to mix up another batch of Old Guy Carnivore's homemade electrolyte mix. Let's get going. Our mix is going to contain sodium. We're going to get our sodium from Himalayan pink salt, fine grain. I think this is the same stuff that Dr. Berg uses in his electrolyte mix. It also contains magnesium. And we've got these bulk supplements that we get from Amazon. And this one is magnesium citrate. So that's where the magnesium's coming from. The potassium is coming from potassium chloride. So these are the three different ingredients that we need to get what we want as the appropriate amount of each of these elements in one dose of our finished electrolyte. Now we could try to measure in micrograms and get little bits of powder of this and little bits of powder of that and try to make a dose, but that's very impractical. So what we're going to do is we're going to explode the single dose recipe 100 times. And we're going to make 100 doses. And then, since I already know that 1 teaspoon or 6 grams of that, what turns out to be 600 grams of final mix, is an appropriate dose. This is what we need to do. I've got 3 bowls here, one for each of the different electrolyte ingredients, sodium, potassium, and magnesium. I've got the different electrolytes. I've got a big bowl to combine the whole mixture in. I've got a scale to weigh in grams, little scooper, some measuring spoons, and I've got a container here left over from Dr. Berg's electrolytes, which I have labeled electrolyte. And it says here 400 milligrams of magnesium, 500 milligrams of potassium, and 570 milligrams of sodium. That's the amount of each one of these electrolytes that we want to have in one dose. In one dose. Now, on the label of each one of these electrolyte packages, it tells you how much of the actual electrolyte is in how many grams of the powder that's in this bag. And since this is not pure potassium, 1 gram of this is not going to equal 1 gram of potassium. And that's where we have to look at the nutrition label. And the nutrition label on this says serving size, 200 milligrams. 200 milligrams equals 105 milligrams of potassium. 105 milligrams of potassium. In order for me to get 500 milligrams of potassium per dose into this final mix, I will need 5 servings of this. 5 servings. You follow the math? If one serving from this, which you could certainly use by itself, it is a supplement. But if one 200 milligram serving of this only gives us, and let's round it down to 100 milligrams of actual potassium, and I want 500 milligrams of actual potassium, I would have to take 5 servings of this. That also means that if I wanted to mix up 100 servings of this at a time, I would need to have 500 servings from this bag. And since one serving is 200 milligrams, or 2/10 of a gram, we need to multiply that by 500. Do you follow the logic? I need 500 200 milligram servings so that each one of the 100 daily doses of electrolytes that I end up with will have 500 milligrams of the actual electrolyte potassium. Okay, let's get a calculator and figure that up. Now, we are working in milligrams here. Milli means 1,000th. So 1,000 milligrams equals a gram. The accuracy of these scales we're going to use is about plus or minus a gram or 2. So we can't weigh accurately in milligrams, which is why we make 100 doses at a time. So we figured out we need 500 doses times 200 milligrams per dose, because that's what it says the serving size is on this bag of potassium chloride. And let's see, that means we need 100,000 milligrams of this stuff. And we're going to divide that by 1,000. And that means we need 100 grams of potassium chloride. So I need to measure and weigh out 100 grams of potassium chloride on this scale here. So if you've never used one of these scales, you can turn it on and make sure it's set to weigh in grams. Right now it's pounds and ounces. There's grams. Now, we want to weigh it in a bowl. And this bowl happens to weigh 615 grams. But each one of these scales has a button that says tare on it, T-A-R-E. And what that does is that actually takes the weight of the bowl out of the final number, resets the scale to 0. Now, with this much weight sitting on the scale, as far as the scale is concerned, we're starting at 0. And any weight that we put in that bowl will show up. And we need 100 grams of potassium chloride. So let's see how much potassium chloride we need for 100 grams. All right, let's pour it into the bowl and keep an eye on the scale. I have put 200 grams in there, holy cow. So let's put some of it back. And 135 grams. 90 grams. Okay, now it's time for where the smaller scoops come in handy, and let's try to get it up to 100 grams. 95 grams. And you don't have to be so incredibly accurate this way. And if you get close within a few grams, you're okay. There it is, 100 grams. So I have 100 grams of potassium chloride in this bowl. And I'll set this out of the way over here, put the potassium chloride behind it so I know that I've got basically 100 doses, 500 milligrams of potassium doses in this bowl. Now, let's do the magnesium. Let's do the magnesium. The magnesium label. Magnesium label says, serving size, 3,500 milligrams. That's 3.5 grams. And that nets us 400 milligrams of magnesium. And that's what we're looking for, 400 milligrams. So our serving size in our new mix is going to be exactly the same as this serving size. So I need 100 servings from this bag. Each serving is 3.5 grams. If I can do it two ways. I can take 3,500 milligrams and multiply it times 100, which equals 350,000, and then divide it by 1,000, which gives me 350 grams of this magnesium citrate. Or I could have just multiplied the 3.5 grams by 100 and ended up with the same answer, 350 grams of magnesium citrate. So we will turn this on again. I've got the bowl on it, so it's set to 0. It automatically does the tare when you turn it on. We will open up the magnesium citrate and we will put in here 3,500 grams of this powder. $350 grams. That's 325. $365. Okay. 75. Let's take some out. 360. 355. 350. Close enough. Close enough. So I will put that over here and put our magnesium so we know what it is behind it. Now let's look at how much sodium we need. We need 570 milligrams of sodium, which conveniently enough, on this nutritional label, serving size 1.5 grams. How much sodium is in each serving? 570 milligrams, which is what I decided to use as the amount of sodium to go in our electrolyte mix. 570 milligrams, which is one serving. And again, the serving size is 1.5 grams. For 100 servings, I would need 100 times 1.5, which is 150. So I need 150 grams. I need 150 grams of this Himalayan salt. And we'll turn the scale back on again. There you go. And it says 0. We need 150 grams of salt. 25, 30, 75, 80, 115, 135, 140, 45, 50, 155. Let's take a little bit out. Put it back in here. Now it says 145. Let's let it settle down. Again, if this isn't completely accurate, it's okay. As long as you get close enough. None of these doses are critical. Put a little more in there. 150. Okay, so here's our 150 grams of salt. That's it. The hard work is over. All we need to do right now is take our salt, the bowl with our salt in it, take our potassium chloride, dump it in there. Take our magnesium citrate, which seems to make up the brunt of it, dump it in there. And start to mix it up. And you want to mix it real well. You want to mix it real well. So, just start stirring it up. And we'll be back after a while when I think I've got it all mixed up appropriately. Okay, it's all mixed up now. What I'm going to do is just a double check. Since I know each dose should weigh about 6 grams, and I've just mixed what I assume to be 100 doses, then this ought to weigh, everything in this bowl ought to weigh 600 grams. Let's see how close we got. Look at that, 590 grams. That is more than close enough and probably stretches the accuracy of the scale. So that's kind of a cross check. And in this bowl right now, all mixed up, and another way you can assure that you've really got it mixed up is you could just pour it back and forth a few times into another bowl. Just keep doing this a little bit and get it good and mixed up. But once that pink salt gets blended in there where you can't see any areas that are more pink than any other areas, you know you've got it mixed up more than good enough. So what we're going to do then is we're going to take these 100 doses of electrolyte mix, and I happen to know that this scoop is 1 teaspoon. So this would be a dose. This would be 1 dose that I would use every day and pour it into however much water you want. If you pour it into 10 or 12 ounces of water, it's going to taste salty. If you do what I do and get yourself one of these 42-ounce thermos jugs right here, they're on my website on the links to stuff I use page, and every morning I open this up. It's got a built-in drinking straw. I open it up. It's still got quite a bit left over for today. I put the 1 scoop into here, fill it up almost to the top with water. It's about 40 ounces of water. Shake it up real good. And I drink out of it for the day. The only thing left to do here is put our electrolyte mix into this. And let's see if we can do this without making a huge mess. You can use a big scooper like this and just do it one scoopful at a time, and you probably will get most of it in there without making a big mess. And interestingly enough, this jar will hold just about all this powder. There may be a little left over, but this, when it came with my Berg electrolytes in it, was 100 doses. What a coincidence. So, see that? And the last little bit. There you go. Now I've got a bunch of empty bowls. I have got a jug full of electrolyte mix. 100 doses, enough for 3 months or more. And I can even take my scooper and stick it down in there. Or put the handle in first. And I'm good. This goes back up in the pantry. And if I was doing that without explaining it, it would have taken 5 or 10 minutes tops. You can take notes while you do this, if you'd like. I think it's better that I not tell you exactly how much of each thing to use, that you learn to figure it out for yourself. Well, take a sip of my electrolyte mix, and it'll take me all day to drink this. And it was cheap to make. Cheap to make. I save a fortune doing it this way. Now there's a reason why I don't. The reason why I don't write down and print out exactly how much of each to use. I refigure it every time. And the reason I refigure it every time, and the way I refigure it is, I look at the serving size on each of the ingredients. I see how much of the element that I want in my final mix is in there in one serving. I then decide how much of that element I want. And in the case of potassium, I wanted 5 times as much as one serving. So I decide how many servings from each of these bags I need to get close to these numbers right here. 400 milligrams of magnesium, 500 milligrams of potassium, and 500 or 600 milligrams of sodium. That's the goal. To get to that goal, I need to determine in each one of these 3 ingredients how many servings I need. So if the serving here is 200 milligrams, but that only nets me 100 milligrams of potassium and I need 500 milligrams, then I need 5 servings of 200 milligrams each. That means I need a full gram. 5 times 200 is 1,000, and 1,000 milligrams is 1 gram. You may get a different brand of magnesium. You may not want to use, or potassium. You may not want to use magnesium citrate because it has a mild laxative. You may want to use magnesium glycinate in your mix. That's fine. The label on the bag of whatever you buy will tell you how much of that element, whether it be potassium, magnesium, or sodium, is in a serving from that bag, and how much one serving weighs. And you do a little simple math, and decide how many servings you need to get to these numbers. These are the key numbers. You want to end up with 400 milligrams of magnesium, with 500, even up to 1,000 milligrams of potassium would be fine, and 500 to 600 milligrams of sodium. That's the deal. It's very easy to do. I hope this was more explanatory than the last one. You don't need to write anything down. You just need to remember these numbers, and you can write these numbers down. That's why I wrote them on the jar. That way, every time I remix this, I don't have to remember. It's written right on the jar. Then I just do a few little calculations. Very simple. How many servings of each of the 3 ingredients do I need to net me this? When I'm weighing things for the 100 dose mix, it's always going to be in grams. In fact, I'm not going to weigh anything in milligrams. The scale is not that sensitive. That's why we do 100 doses at a time. And 100 doses fits very nicely in one of these old electrolyte jars that came with the scoop that just happened to be exactly the right size. So there you go. Version 2.0. Same electrolytes, hopefully a little more clear. It's an adventure, my friend, and I hope it works out for you if you decide to do this. So now you can take the rest of the day off and eat meat. You can go to my website at oldguycarnivore.com. On there, I've got a page that says links to stuff I use every day. These links take you to Amazon affiliate links of mine, and when you buy something through these links, it helps support the channel. Here is everything I use, every kitchen tool, gadget, and everything else. If you think, and there's no obligation, but if you think you might want to get some of the stuff that I use in my videos and do this yourself, whether it be food, supplements, kitchen appliances, tools, gadgets, frying pans, whatever, I would really appreciate it. OldGuyCarnivore.com. Links to stuff I use page. Doesn't cost you a dime more, and you're really helping me continue to do what I do. Thanks so much.